is it?
This is a Campari and vermouth. It is classic, perfect Negroni.
All right. Cheers. This is what you need to drink when you're running for any sort of office, whether it be mayor or something else, right? And you need one of these at the end of the night because of the stress. Why the heck do you want to be mayor?
Actually, this is the cocktail you drink when you want to celebrate all that there is amazing in Seattle.
Why I want to be mayor is because I want to put my years of experience on behalf of the people of this city to work on our toughest issues, from homelessness to housing affordability, the causes that lead to housing instability.
You and your opponent both have great backstories. You grew up in Central Washington, child migrant worker, pulled yourself up by your bootstraps to go to Washington State University, Seattle law. You work in law as a civil rights lawyer and really kind of came to fame, if you want to say that, with an infamous story involving a Seattle police officer. That was almost a decade ago.
I also came up in this city in the immigrant rights movement, working with organizations like One America to build power within immigrant communities and political power in particular.
How do you think the city is performing right now during the pandemic?
We see that COVID has just really, frankly, picked the scab off of so many issues that have existed before the pandemic around poverty in particular.
Our next regular city council meeting.
You currently are the Seattle City Council president. I still have watched these city council meetings where you're juggling being a working mom and your child is on your lap. But how has that made it more difficult kind of managing via Zoom when a city is still trying to continue to function?
It's been really challenging to try to meet people where they're at, but do it safely, and still feel like people are seeing that we're being responsive to the greatest needs of the people who live in the city.
One of the big discussions during the pandemic, during this Zoom era of governing, has been what to do with public safety. You said on the record at the time that you believed in defunding the police and cutting the budget by 50%. Do you still believe that?
We were able to effectuate a 20% reduction to the Seattle Police Department's budget, both in transfers and also in just salary savings. But at the end of the day, I think we threaded the needle well.
And the police chief is saying they're having trouble responding to 911 calls. That response time is now longer. They're not responding to certain type of crimes. So how do you fix it in the short term?
He has the resources he needs to be able to hire the officers he indicated he could hire. And it's my expectation that he do it.
Do you think Seattle's safe right now?
I think for the most part, Seattle is a very safe place. That doesn't mean that we don't have any public safety issues. It doesn't mean that we don't have any quality of life crimes. We absolutely do.
A lot of people, as you know, have conflated a couple of issues together, and that is public safety and homelessness. Homelessness continues to be the top issue for a lot of people. How do you balance the need to address the homelessness situation near term and long term, and the near term needs for people who believe that it's now blight on the city?
I mean, I think we should all be equally frustrated about the state of the homelessness crisis in our city. I want to see the same outcome, which is immediately, rapidly rehousing folks so that they aren't having to resort to living in our parks and in other public areas.
We've seen what's happened in the past. People are worried. They say that there's crime associated with these encampments and the city's not doing anything about it.
I think the reality is that, my vision for addressing encampments is not about sweeping the problem under the rug and sweeping it away. That is not a solution.
If you're elected, do you think you go to the council or voters to ask for another tax, like the head tax, which was before the Jumpstart tax?
I think it's possible.
Well, we'll end on that. I mean, you haven't been drinking, and I know it's been a long campaign. So thanks for sharing one of these with me. Straight alcohol.
It's delicious. You enjoy it. Cheers.